Okay. Also, my hair is giving Lord Farquaad a little bit right now.
It's giving very Lord Farquaad.
I was like, well.
Sorry, my hair's giving unkempt buzz cut, so.
Yeah. It's giving
growing out.
2000s Britney.
Yeah. I think that
pretty much sums it up.
Hey y'all, she's Hannah.
He's Greg.
She's adopted.
He's not.
She's black.
He's not.
And this is
the Fake Siblings Podcast.
Growing up as adoptive siblings presented unique challenges.
That's not your real brother.
How long have you been dating? The realness of our sibling-ship was often called into question, and we want to talk about it.
Because despite it all, we've always been super close. And ain't nothing fake about that.
All right, Hannah, why don't you get us started here? Get us rolling. Who is Hannah Jackson Matthews? We going like full name?
I think so.
Full gov name?
You know, everyone at church calls me Hannah Jackson. Not everyone. My friends call me Hannah, but
they all
church,
call you?
They call me Hannah Jackson Matthews.
Oh. That's funny because at work, nobody knows how to pronounce my name. I don't know, it's Strumbrus.
Oh, Strumbrus.
A lot of people add the extra R. There is like our executive chef. He's got it.
Okay.
Like, he like goes because he's from Uruguay, and so he goes Stumbras.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty legit.
It's like I kind of wish it was pronounced like that.
So everybody else has just like defaulted to calling me Jackson. Jackson.
Oh, that was. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
You answer to that.
And honestly, it feels good.
Yeah.
Who are you? Tell us who you are, Hannah Jackson Matthews.
Writer, educator. How's it go? I think it's writer, educator,
Disruptor.
Speaker.
Oh, speaker.
Writer, speaker, educator, who creates content at the intersections of race, identity, and adoption. I'm also a mother of two and a wife of one. And
respect. All right.
Oh yeah, there's probably more.
I can't believe you didn't say sister.
Oh, and
fraud.
Sister. Well, fake. There's no way.
We'll get there.
Yes.
Just relax. Government name: Gregory Jackson Stumbris. You can call me Greg. I am what am I? I haven't thought about this in a long time. Right now, I'm a discovering life liver. I'm a full-time food and beverage employee. I've sort of had jobs all over restaurant and now hotel industry. I've also been a teacher and sort of just like a serial grass is greener kind of a person. And so my focus right now in life is just trying to, make the grass green on my side. I'm growing some seeds. Hannah and I have been sowing these seeds for some time. And so we're excited to see, what comes.
Yeah.
Are we growing veggies, flowers? Who knows? Weeds. We just don't know.
Weed.
It's legal in Minnesota. Four plants. And I am just like very excited about this because I think a couple things that we spend a lot of time together. Our families spend a lot of time together, sometimes more than others.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I am very excited about is to have like this weekly time on the calendar with you that we get to spend time together. I think just like become more brother sister again, because we've had like this like one-on-one time at times in our lives, but I feel like it's been since since you left for college, really, that we've had like really quality one-on-one time.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm excited.
Ditto.
I mean, we teased a release last year on Siblings Day. What was that? Was it
April 10th?
April? Is it always April 10th?
I think so.
April 10th, 2023. We missed that date. So
just a little bit.
I mean, what do you think? Why has it been over a year?
Well, to keep with your analogy of gardening, I feel like we neglected our garden.
Yeah, we like didn't do any weeding. We Didn't really spend any time with it.
It looks a lot like my garden currently.
Yeah,
does.
I want to take some blame there. I was on the management ladder.
You were.
And working way too much, and have since stepped down from that management ladder, which is why I'm in this fun phase of life right now. I'm still gainfully employed. I will say that,
Yeah.
but also really like have much more of a focus on what my interests are.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too.
We like wanted to do it just right also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of got in the way. I think when you want it to be just right, everything feels a little higher pressure. We like to be goofy together, but we also like to be critical and all of these things. And I think when we like take ourselves too seriously and take like what we're doing too seriously, the goofiness goes away, it becomes a little less fun. And I don't think either of us do very well when it's like just like the serious stuff.
No.
I don't know.
No, for sure. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it. 1000% do not want to do.
Connection.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So I think that we're trying to thread that needle right now, and we're excited because I don't know about you, but I think that we're sort of finding some momentum here.
Yeah, I think so too.
In this new spring season. By the way, spring in Minnesota comes with 4 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah, yesterday was the first day of spring, and we got snow.
Like true Minnesota transplants that we are, you will find us talking about weather from time to time.
Transplants. Everyone in Minnesota talks about weather constantly.
Oh, I know. But, we're transplants, so we have to also talk about weather.
Yeah, we do. I don't like it, though.
But yeah, also I think, another bullet that we have here is that our lack of executive functioning, which is real.
And yeah.
And, you'll find more and more of that as we talk. And but yeah, I think a couple things that we found like some fun, no sponsorship here, but shout out to Millennials, who has a really cool like storyboard feature that we've got our stuff outlined on.
Shout out to ChatGPT.
Crazy.
And shout out to Millennials. If either of you are interested in sponsoring this podcast, you can reach out to us on Instagram.
At us. That's what we say.
At us. At Fake Siblings Pod.
Right.
So why are we? What are we? Why are we?
So I think you can take that back, way back. We'll keep numbers out of the game here to keep some mystery about our age.
Sure.
You'll learn about Mary Lou-isms
for sure
on this podcast. Mary Lou is our mother. Love you, Mom. Mom has lots of stories that she loves to tell, and one story that we'll probably talk about more than just now is when I was a young lad. Hannah and I are 5 years apart. Yep. We were in the adoption process.
Yeah.
And I was aware of the adoption process because our older brother is also adopted.
Yep.
And I thanked God for my baby sister in our nightly prayer. And my mom said, "We don't know if it's going to be a girl or a boy." And I said, "No, I asked God for a baby sister." And he said, "Yes." And so this is my baby sister. Not so baby these days, but I mean, that's who Hannah is to me. I mean, she's also much, much more, but that's who Hannah began as to me.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of you before I ever knew who you were, which is pretty amazing.
I agree.
And yeah, so you're my fake sibling, I guess.
Yeah, no. So we are 100% real siblings.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. You were the one who thought of the name Fake Siblings. I know that we've also sort of like batted around some other thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
And like sort of come back to this idea of fake siblings. Okay. What made you think of that in the first place?
Because when I was growing up as a kid, I was so proud to have you and Tyler's older brothers. Mm-hmm. And so I was that little sister that was always like, "That's my older brother. That's my older brother." And I would often like do that whenever you were around, or would say like, "Oh yeah, my older brother's in whatever grade." or was in so and so's class,
Mm-hmm.
and people would be like, they'd be like, who or where, show me or whatever, and I'd show you, or show Tyler,
Mm.
and they would be like, that's not your brother. You know, kids are cruel. That's not your brother, and I'd be like, yes, it is my brother, and I get all upset about it. And so they'd be like, that's not your real brother, which, I mean, they were talking about biology, but they didn't have the language for that.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it was so hurtful because I was like, what's more real than having your sibling that you've only ever known your entire life?
Mm-hmm.
So it just felt really invalidating.
Mm.
And so I think it's kind of a little like, to those kids.
A jab.
And the people that I feel like don't quite understand the legitimacy of adoptive relations. I also felt like it would get people talking about kind of what makes a relationship, a connection real or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm not the only adoptee who's experienced that, like, that kind of language around your relationship.
You know, I moved to Minnesota in 2014 with my wife Claire, and we weren't married at the time. That's not very important, but like, you know, we moved out here 10 years ago, which was also like right around the first birthday of Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, you decided, after like we had spent some time together back on the East Coast over holidays and like vacation and things like that, you and Brett and the family decided that you were going to move out here because like it was like just like something, an itch that we like weren't able to scratch enough.
Yeah.
I feel like we've always just been so close, and I think like the proximity is amazing.
For real.
And yeah, now we get to like explore what adult sibling-ship is.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
Cool. And it, you know, I think, yeah,
we
really are.
Yeah, we're the real deal.
So
It's
fake
realistic.
siblings only by you know,
only by name,
by joke. And you know, we hope that by like having these open conversations and by answering questions and things like that, that we will be able to speak to people who have good relationships, people who struggle in adoptive relationships or sibling relationships, whether adoptive or not.
Yeah.
We hope to, you know, maybe assist adults who are far apart. How do we coexist? You know, because we also, our brother still lives a long way away.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am excited because we have this like, I mean, I'm excited for lots of reasons. Emocionante. I've been practicing my, you know, Spanish on Duolingo.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Duolingo. Sponsor the podcast.
You know, we've been talking about like who's our target market, things like that, and we have this bio that's like really interesting to me, and it's like, you know, people who are struggling as adults, as adoptees, with relationships with white families. You know, maybe a little bit of background here. You might be able to tell I am a white man.
You be throwing people off though, because whenever people meet me, they'll be like,
"What?
Is there melanin in there, Greg?" Also, I wanted to say, who's your favorite superhero? This is really what I wanted to say.
I wanted to say something.
Totally off subject, though. It's not on the outline. Who's your favorite superhero?
I mean, I only really know the superheroes like based off of movies.
Fair enough. We weren't really big superhero like kids growing up.
No, but man, Marvel Universe was a savior during COVID.
Yeah.
Disney.
Disney.
You know, I go a little like off the beaten path here. I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd as Ant-Man.
Oh, did not expect that answer.
Because Ant-Man, goofy.
Yeah.
Also, you know, he's got his problems, his issues. I think his suit is super cool. And he's been somewhere where no other superhero has been. He's been in like the like tiny like molecular part of the universe. So I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what you were gonna say, so I don't really have an answer.
Do you have a favorite?
Not really. I watched a TikTok this morning that was saying how like, oh, you could tell something about a man from who his favorite superhero was, but she didn't say anything about Ant-Man.
I was gonna say, oh, interesting.
But anyway, for people who do know what that means, let us know. What does it mean that his favorite superhero is Ant-Man? I think my favorite superhero is Spider-Man, or like as a kid was Spider-Man.
You know, I like Spider-Man. I think the Spider-Man movies are pretty great.
Yeah.
And one that came out like in the last couple of years, No Way Home.
Yeah.
I went with Brett and Caleb.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this story, but I had just lost a couple friends. And it was like my first time going to the movie theater in a long time. Sitting next to Caleb in the movie theater. That's, you know, he must have been probably 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And there was a line that was like, when you lose somebody, you don't just lose the person, but you lose everything that they, or you know, you lose everything. I'm not doing the line justice. You lose everything that they stood for and believed in.
Okay.
And that line just like got me, and I like was like full sob, shoulders heaving in the theater, couldn't stop. Caleb's next to me, just like eating like sour gummy worms, like looking at me out of the corner of his eye, like, you good, bro?
Everything okay over there? But he also cried. He told me. Maybe not at that moment, but he did tell me that he did cry or shed a tear. Maybe not as much as Uncle Goo did. I was like, oh.
He like looked at me,
it was
and
sad,
then he looked at Claire, and he's like, what's going on?
I know it's sad, but I don't think it was that sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, been there, done that. A big cry in the theater. I did that when I watched 7 Pounds. I went when I was in high school. I was like on a double date with Daniel Shelley. Maybe not a double date. Maybe it was. We went and saw 7 Pounds. Maybe it wasn't a double date.
Was that the one with Will Smith?
Yeah, it was the one where he like ends up pretty much dying so he can give his organs away to everyone. And oh my god, I sobbed. It was one of those ones where I audibly sobbed. Like and it like echoed in the theater. I came out of the theater, my mascara had like run all down my face. I was like,
great date.
That was wonderful.
Did you have a second date?
Oh, no.
My most embarrassing falling asleep at the movies was...
oh, I have a good one too. Go ahead.
I mean, it wasn't even that embarrassing, but I went to the movies with a couple friends, and it was like one of the new Star Wars films, and I don't know if like my brain just goes on like overload mode. I didn't think I was tired, but like it was like the most dramatic part of the movie.
Yeah.
It was like one of the new ones with like I don't think it was like Rey, but it involved Rey.
Yeah.
And it was like a battle scene, and I just fell asleep. It was like the climax of the movie.
Yeah, no.
And I like woke up and I was like, what happened? I think I get a little overwhelmed and overstimulated by the special effects sometimes.
That makes sense. Yeah, I fell asleep during Endgame. Also very intense. And I was pregnant with Journey. And I was working.
What?
I was teaching.
What?
I was teaching. We were there, like, we went and took the kids on a trip for, like we had, like, a day of testing.
Oh my God.
We had, like, a half day, so we took them to go see Endgame, and I fell asleep at work.
Were you, like, was it, like, asleep for, like, a few minutes, or did you, like, fall asleep till the end of the movie?
I slept for a while.
That's amazing. I mean, at least...
I sat in the front row, so I don't know if anyone actually saw me.
I mean, at least the movie basically does the chaperoning for you, though.
I mean, I felt like it was okay. Ish, but I was like, I was definitely supposed to be.
Maybe a reason why neither of us are teachers any longer.
Yeah. When we kind of hinted at launching the podcast, or I did on my own personal social media, I asked my followers, community, to give Greg and I some questions. Most of the people in my Instagram community, my platform, people who follow me, are connected to adoption in one way or another. And so a lot of the questions that they asked had to do with the dynamics of
Yeah.
our relationship concerning adoption. But we're open to other questions people might have about adoption, about sibling-ship.
If you're not a part of the adoptive community, it is a massive community.
True.
Like, you say that most of the people who follow you are adopted or from adoptive relationships.
Yeah.
And so people might think, that's not a lot of people. She's got a lot of followers. It's a lot of people.
A question that someone asked, I wish I knew who asked it. I meant to write down people's names, but I'll do a better job in the future of that. The question.
It's candy hand.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about that.
We'll get there.
Okay.
That's part of the conclusion here.
Okay. So, the question that was asked was, how did your parents both help you understand and navigate the dynamics of adoption?
I'm sure that I'll have more thoughts on this.
Yeah.
But what always comes to mind for me is just they were bullish on the fact that, like, yes, your siblings are adopted. Tyler and Hannah adopted, but they are your siblings. Like,
yeah.
Without a doubt, if anybody ever questions, like, they are your siblings. And I don't think I ever thought about it any other way.
Yeah.
But I think, like, how did they help us understand it? We had relationships with families. And like there was one family who like lived in our hometown that was like very much like ours. They didn't have a white kid in the middle, but they had a Korean
older brother
and a black daughter.
Yeah.
And so like we had friendships and relationships with these families, and I think that was really important. That was huge because it helped us to understand that we were normal. In our differences, that
we were
a family that
that
loved each other and also had our family was normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically.
I think also something I thought about what you were sharing was we're both younger siblings, and so our parents became parents through adoption.
Yeah.
So the only like context that we had for family, or like the first context we had for family was adoption. So I think that when you're born into a family that was created out of adoption, it's all around. It's like all around. It's ever present. It's not like mom and dad had you and then had to explain the concept of adoption to you as a whatever 3, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, whatever, how old you might be, and then it's like, okay, this is how they help me. Yeah, I feel like then you might have a more concrete of like, this is how they help me understand. But I think when it's something that's just like is what it is from the beginning, and mom and dad weren't skirting around the topic of adoption, or there was no like tiptoeing around the fact that there was that we were. I mean, it was hard to. We're an interracial adoption, so it's like to lie would have been an extraordinary lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting because I'm certain, having been children at the time, that like, they could have,
and people do
that, tried to weave that story,
and people do. Like there are a lot of people who late discovery adoptees is a whole community of people who who their parents don't disclose them that they're adopted until they're older, and you'd be surprised some of them are interracial adoptions still, nonetheless. So yeah, but
I'm very thankful we did not have to deal with mom and dad trying to play on our naivete.
Yeah, or like even if they didn't, they're still lying through omission too, like of just like not saying it or not saying anything and just being like, we'll leave it up to our kids to figure it out, which I feel like our parents didn't do. I remember having books when I was younger that were like, I'm adopted, and they kind of like walked through what that meant. And I really can't think of a time in my life where I didn't have a sense that I was adopted.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, it's a little bit different, but I think you probably can't think of a time in your life where you didn't know that your siblings were adopted. Like, it's just, I think that that's the biggest help for us with the dynamics, understanding how to navigate the dynamics of adoption is just like our parents did a really great job of giving us the like primary language to understand like this is our family, this is how our family came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the words that you can use to describe our family dynamic. Here's what you say if people question you about the legitimacy of your family or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, you know, certainly mom, I think dad too, but like, you know, she's very relational,
yeah,
you know, so she's like always talking about how you are and who you are in relation to like the people around you. And
yeah.
I think that she had that because she came from a huge family. She was
Mm-hmm.
one of the younger ones of the family, and so she had like these dynamics of having like way older siblings and things like that.
Another thing that I would say about my mom that I appreciate, but also like it's a both and situation of mom is really big on like establishing a narrative,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually really helpful when you're a child
Mm-hmm.
because um it just helps you make sense of the world and give you context for like what's happening around you. And mom was really good at being like, this is your story of how you came to be in the world. This is how I remember you as a child. This is what you've always liked. These are the like just
Mm-hmm.
really establishing a personal narrative for um, each of us. I think in the context of adoption, it did help me feel. Um, I've had to work through some of it, but I feel like it did help me feel, especially as a young person, confident and like secure in the fact that I was adopted. It
Mm-hmm.
was something that like I liked
Mm-hmm.
being adopted.
Mm-hmm.
As something that I often like would if I was like share something special about yourself in class.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, being adopted was going to be what I
I
would
know
share.
for me it was like always I had two adoptive siblings
Yeah,
or like two truths and a lie. That was like all,
yeah,
and I eventually like realized that like I didn't want to just like tote that around as like this
yeah,
like thing that made me unique because like sure our family system was different and
yeah, yeah,
unique, but like yeah, and it was totally like a brag for
yeah.
us, which I think.
It's helpful as a kid, I
Mm-hmm.
think. I mean, and again, as an adult, I've had to kind of like work through some of that. Be like, maybe it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't all, maybe it didn't always feel like it was the most special thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it helps you when you have kind of a secure sense of adoption and how it relates to you and your family. It helps you to be able to navigate the dynamics of adoption and even helps you to be able to be critical
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
about them
absolutely.
later.
Well, right, because you know one thing that was always accepted and like you know we it was an open conversation,
Yeah.
which I think you know having that open conversation, having that story, you know, be like just being able to like I don't know have that knowledge, be like with one another. We were also a family that was like eat dinner at the dinner table every
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
and so like you know we were all together and getting FaceTime with one another, um and I think yeah, all of that helped us to have this platform of discourse now
Yeah.
and like a critical lens of things because I think that that maybe came more from like dad and Tyler, the critical sense of
Yeah.
things. You know,
Yeah.
mom wove the narrative, Tyler bucked the narrative, and
Yeah.
him and dad butted heads about it. You
Yeah.
know, and I think yeah, like you know the really like our family system and the way that we grew up with one another and like that open and honest conversation about adoption and like the celebration of adoption in our family like led us to a place where we can now like critically analyze
Yeah.
what adoption is, what it means to us, you know, why it was amazing for our family but also you know
Hard. Yeah.
challenging for
Yeah.
others
Yeah.
and hard for you know you as a black person in a damn near 100% white town and
Yeah.
um yeah
Yeah.
I don't know I think that that's actually really cool and we can this yeah I don't know that feels good because I feel like we can this opens up the
I
conversation you
agree.
know. Yep.
I agree.
All right, so I think that this is a perfect segue to
Yeah.
the conclusion of episode 1. The name of this episode, The Candy Hand. Shout out to Uncle Riley. Uncle Riley just passed. But we would have game nights. We spent a lot of summers a lot of weeks at the summer at our aunt and uncle's beach house, and we would like always have like these massive game nights. There would be like, I don't know, felt like 20 of us around the gaming table, and I don't know if it was ever actually that many, but there were a lot of people.
There's a lot.
And Uncle Riley would always call the first game the candy game. Doesn't count unless you win. I think messy, digressing, all of the things that, this first practice, which, it really sort of feels like, we're practicing.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of the candy hand. The first episode only counts if we're winning.
Yeah. And if it doesn't count, and if we lose, if this sucks, it doesn't count.
Yeah. And we'll see you in episode 2.
Thanks for listening to the Fake Siblings podcast. And before you shut this off, we have a few simple requests.
1, subscribe to the pod. B, leave us a glowing review. 3rd, follow us on all the socials at Fake Siblings Pod.
We release new episodes every Wednesday, so until next time.
Thank you for listening.
Bye, y'all. I mean, first try. Okay.